What's up, Gator fans? So today, basically, I wanted to make y'all a show just talking about Gators recruiting, talking about the past, some history, with where this class stacks up, where Billy's trending, what he's done so far, and where Florida's been, just to kind of give a comparison. I'm sure y'all have heard 100 of these shows doing this kind of thing, but just to give my take on it, and this is going to be a positive show. Really excited about where things are trending right now, where this class is. And I'm sure you guys are too. Florida's obviously trending in the right direction, at least on the recruiting trail. Hopefully, we see some positive results on the field. I know we all really want Florida to go 8-4 or better this year. I'd be completely happy with 8-4. I think that'd be a solid, second year, second season. I have my doubts about that record, but it is doable, especially if the defense takes a big jump and we can run the ball like we did last year. Um, if we can run at least as well or better. Personally, I think we're going to have to run the ball as good, if not better, than we did last year in order to be 8-4. Because Mertz, I think, is going to hold us back in the passing game, and we're just not that deep. At receiver, we're going to need some of these young guys to really step up for us. But yeah, 8-4 is definitely realistic. It's doable. I think it's a must. 7-5 would be acceptable as well, as long as we keep this class together and finish in the top five in recruiting. I will say there's some stuff going on out there with the recruiting rankings. I think this class is even better than what it's showing on paper, which it's already, a pretty much borderline elite class on paper. I mean, it's top three in the country. Right now, the average has dropped a little bit down to a 9.2. Hopefully, we can sustain that. I need this class, and Florida needs it to be a 9.2 or better average player ranking to be an elite class. But one of the issues is there's this new site that's in the mix for the composite now. They average ESPN, all these different sites together to get the composite ranking. Well, On3 is absolute trash. Their rankings are completely biased. Um, just they're so far off from where everybody else, including ESPN, which is one of the worst out there at ranking high school players because they can't focus and don't have the resources like 247 does. But yeah, On3 is just atrocious. I mean, they have got to up their game with being more accurate. You can't. There's no way you're going to tell me that Waller's a 3-star or whatever on 3 and a 5-star at 247, or a high 4-star. I mean, how is that even possible for them to be that far apart? These guys just don't know what they're doing. I think they're just hiring Joe Blow off the street, or guys that were total bias to Georgia and FSU and these other schools to be their recruiting scouts. So I think there's some issues there with that. They need to try to get guys that aren't, so closely tied or such fanatics or fans with these other schools to do the recruiting rankings. It needs to be guys that are completely unbiased and not tied to a school because it's definitely skewing the numbers a little bit on Florida and even some other schools, I'm sure. Tennessee and some other people like that. But On3 is terrible. Um, you know, I want to talk about the 23 class as well. We had some guys at JUCO, some late additions, the running back, Anaki or something like that, some weird name, but had a JUCO guy, defensive lineman. They got some good rankings slapped on them. So that average now for that last class is a 94.7, which is a solid 4-star ranking, and the class now ranks 12th from 2023. So a solid class, a good jump from 17th the year before. Top 15 talent on this roster now should definitely win in the SEC. Should get you 8 wins in this league. Should get you 8 wins versus anybody. So Florida has talent, and is building depth. And it was more of a sinking ship at some point. We're patching holes, transfer portal, losing a lot of guys. We've lost some talent, lost some depth, but I think we've patched the ship enough to where this team should be able to be semi-successful this year. But yeah, last year's class definitely made a jump and improved some. So that's a solid class. It could have been and should have been better. It definitely needed to be top 10. Still, I'm a top 5 class guy to be able to win like we want to win in Florida. Next guy to drop is going to be Foster. I believe that was today that he's committing. So look for Foster to jump on board and put us at 20 commits in the class. The average is a 92. I think if he's in, it may still should be at the 9.2. It might drop a little bit to 9.1 something. But we've got some big fish out there. We put them back in the class. Um, you know, with 20 commits, you know, the average is going to jump back up over 92 if we land the guys we want to land that we're targeting. I think the class ends up with 25, 26 commits. I'm going to name off some guys right here that Florida's after really hard. We want to flip Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, 5-star wide receiver. We're real warm on Xavier Mincy. He's a safety, 4-star, 9.3. He's actually crystal balled to Florida. He's a top 100 player. So, you put those two guys in the class and that average is back up, 92 something, 93. LJ McCray, defensive lineman. Florida's real hot after him. I think Florida lands. I'm naming guys that Florida is actually in the running for, and I do believe will be in this class. These guys are in my mock class, but LJ McCray, defensive lineman, he's a 96, ranked 4-star, top 40 player. Colin Simmons is another one we're after. He's an edge guy, 5-star. Florida's in that. Jordan Seaton, another guy we're really hard after. This is a dude that I really would love to have on the offensive line. In this class, we need to upgrade the talent there. IMG guy, Florida's been doing really well at IMG since Billy got here. He's a 4-star. Um, Interior offensive lineman, big guys, a 9.3 average ranking. So like I said, you add those guys in the class and you're at a 93 average again. Caleb Odom, we definitely need to work on that tight end room. We got a guy in the class now, but I think we need a second tight end. He's a 4-star, 9.3, so a very talented guy. Florida needs to get back to having good tight ends again, especially for this offense to be productive and do well. The tight end position is very important, especially for blocking. Another guy we're after hard on the offensive line is O'Reilly Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. He's a 3-star, but I think he's a 4-star talent, 8'7", 3-star guy. But these are the guys I believe will be in this class to fill it out, and that will complete the class, in my opinion. There might be some other names out there we're after that you guys know about or whatever, but these are the guys that I would think Florida would really push the hardest for, and I do believe most of these guys will be in the class. Like I said, to finish around that 25 or 26 commits, and I still think this class will finish, top 5 overall. Um, that's what we need it to be. We need it to be top 5. Could it slide down? Bama's going to make a push. These guys that are lower right now based on number of commits, they're going to move up the rankings. Florida could end up around that 6th or 7th spot. That would be a little disappointing for me. I mean, that's still a good class. It's still an improvement every year in recruiting and pushing that talent to where it needs to get to. But that's just going to slow the rebuild down another year if we don't get inside the top 5. So that is something that I need and want to see Florida to do. To go back and give a little bit of historical, perspective on what Billy's doing. Let's just talk about some of the rankings for these coaches. They actually have a ranking system that ranks the coaches based on number of commits, average, who they've landed. We've got some solid guys on this staff. I was surprised there wasn't more names, and this one really surprised me, but he's been a stud on the trail lately, is Jay Bateman. Jay Bateman is the number 3 recruiter in the country. He's got 7 commits for 78 points and a 9.3 average per player. That is super solid, guys. I mean, this guy was a guy people were calling to be fired and off the staff a while back, but now he's crushing it. And this name really surprised me at 57th in the country is Rob Sale. But he's actually landed. He's got some offensive linemen. The talent there is a little lacking, but some good guys in the class. 4 commits. Just landed a 4-star, but he's got 4 of them for an 8.7, a high 3-star average, which offensive linemen are hard to rank, and they are, projects and developmental type guys. So high-level 3-star, by the time he's developed by 2 offensive line coaches, I mean, he's going to play like a 4-star. He's got 50 points total. You've got Mike Peterson, who's doing pretty well with 4 commits. He's at 80th in the country as far as coaches go. Anything in the top 100 is a solid recruiter. But 4 commits, he's got a 9.3 average, so very talented players that Mike Peterson's landed. Another guy that people, have called to be fired and kicked off the staff at certain points in the last year with recruiting, and these guys are some of the best in the country. So to go back to historical, what Florida's done, Like I said, this class with a 9.2 average last year, 12th ranked class, had a 90 average, so the talent level has increased. The ranking of the class has increased. Billy's first class was a little bit of a rough transition class, but still solid. Guys that are contributing early. He's got a good evaluation, a good eye for talent. That class finished 17th in the country, which is one of our worst classes we've had in a really long time. 8879, a high 3-star average, one of the lowest ratings per player we've had in a really long time as well. And this goes all the way back to McElwain. So 2021, we had the 12th ranked class. But the thing about that was Mullen's last class, and half are gone, transferred out. Some of the better talent still on the roster and stayed. Guys that have contributed, Jason Marshall, some of these guys. Mullen, most don't qualify or get in when he was the coach here. He had a 90 average pretty much in all his classes, which is a good 4-star average. We had a lot of 4-star players that really weren't recruited hard by their schools, were just leftovers that nobody wanted. So that average was kind of, a mirage a little bit. And same with the classes. Most of these kids didn't qualify, got arrested, just never got into school. So, you had 5 or 6 guys like that in every class. You take those guys out, and that puts our class down in the 20 to 25 range. That tells you how lacking this team was with depth and talent under Dan Mullen. He set us back years, and took us out of contention for being a top 25 team. So those classes were every single class he signed was a complete gotcha, pulling the wool over your eyes. Complete mirage. Those classes were completely fake. And not what the numbers said they were when they finished in the rankings. 2020 guy has a 7th ranked class, 90 average. 19, 9th ranked class, 90 average. 18th, 14th, 2018 14th class, 90 average. But again, you got most of these guys who never got into school, and a lot of them were even the most highly ranked players in the class. So that's what really set Florida back. None of these classes were top 10 or top 15 classes, in my opinion. To take those guys out, these classes probably finished 20 to 25, somewhere in that range. And that's where Billy is really behind the ball, or really, was dealt a bad hand to begin with, and people didn't realize how far down, the Florida program really was. But after the Mullen class, things are a little different, because Mullen really won and was successful that first year or two because of McElwain. McElwain wasn't. He had a good eye for talent, very good evaluator, kind of like Billy, and he didn't recruit terrible at times. He actually had a solid class the year he was leaving. That class was top 5 and had Jamar Chase in it. Matt Corral. That class was elite. It was going to bring Florida back to prominence, but things just, the wheels fell off and everything fell apart. But, in 2017, we've got the 9th ranked class with an 8.9 average. So the average goes down a little bit, but these were solid players. 12th ranked class in 2016, 8.8 high 3-star average. And then 21, or 2015, we had, see, 8.7 average and finished 21st. That was the class with Ivy, where we had 2 5-star recruits, CC Jefferson. Some solid top end talent, but just real low bottom end talent. But again, he was a good evaluator. These guys contributed early and played well, at Florida. And so McElwain did pretty well and set Mullen up those first couple years. Those classes played better than their ranking, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But now when you go back to Muschamp, you can see why McElwain was successful. He won on Muschamp's players with defense. This was the last time Florida really recruited at an elite level, really set Florida up for success. But if you look at it, Muschamp in 2014, 9th ranked class, 8.9 4-star average, so top 10. In 2013, he had the 3rd ranked class for a 94-star average. 2012, top 3 class, 91 4-star average. And this was around the time, 2011, we had the 11th ranked class, 94-star average. So you got Florida recruiting top 5. This is back when Florida went to the Sugar Bowl, and played Louisville. This was a national title contending type team based on the defense, and that was the last time Florida had top 5 classes or top 5 talent. So again, that goes back to my point that that's what it takes in order to win big, win a championship. Without it, you're not going to get there. You're not going to coach your way there. You got to have the horses to do it. You know, 2011, 11th ranked class, 94-star average. So Florida's really always kind of averaged around that 9 to 12 range pretty much in their classes in the last decade to 15 years. Around that 94-star average. That's pretty much where we've kind of hovered at, between an 8, 9, and a 90 average, which is solid, and you've seen the results of that. Florida's been a very inconsistent up and down team, and that's what you're going to get, about 50-50 with that kind of talent and those type of 4-star players. You're going to hit on half of them. Now I'm going to take you back to Meyer and really show you the difference in recruiting and what it does for, being a playoff team, winning the SEC, winning championships. 2010 had the number one class, 9.3 average, 5 stars. Um, 2009 seventh ranked class. 2008 same thing. 2007 number one ranked class, 2 5-star quarterbacks. 2008 number five ranked class. 2006 number two ranked class. What did Florida do back in that day? They won national titles with number one ranked class, number two, number five ranked class. They won an SEC championship. They won they won a national title. This they won two national titles. So that right there is all the data I need to prove my point about recruiting being top five or bust. If you're Final Four to being 8 wins, 9 wins, making a bowl game, going into year six, obviously the playoffs going to expand. So just barely getting in the playoff every year, maybe winning one game and being out, and that's what you're happy with Florida. I mean, that's great and that's fun to watch, and it makes for a better year than 6-6. Personally, I'm at the point as a Florida fan where I would be satisfied and happy just to see that consistently. But in order for Florida to win a national title and to win the SEC, to go through Bama or Georgia, LSU, these teams that are recruiting ahead of us or have been historically, Florida is going to have these number one, number two, number three, number four ranked classes in order to be able to actually knock off a Bama, uh, a Georgia, a team like that. So I just wanted to put that out there, put that data out there, um, kind of tell you where my thoughts are on this class, where we've been, put the stats out there and show you what it actually produces at Florida, and why it's so important to land these 5 stars and to have these top five classes. I appreciate y'all's time. Hope y'all have a good day, a good weekend. Go Gators.